it's refined, no doubt, but like it's just like raw passion the whole way through. Did it freeze, or are you just staring at me? What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Justin. Why are you laughing?
Whoa, that's not even how we begin.
That's
Have you
how.
forgotten?
Listen,
that's how you sound. What's up, guys?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to JPMP. I'm Justin.
I'm Manny.
And we're back. Anyways, so we decided on our first venture back into it, coming back to you guys. Thank you so much for your patience. Some of you have been waiting for us. Some of you have not been waiting for us. But regardless,
some of you forgot about us.
Some of you forgot about us. But regardless,
it's fine.
We're back. We're back. Yeah. We did the safe thing. We're in isolation. We're apart from each other. You know, we're doing that thing. But we wanted to still bring you some content in the meantime. So this was a way of doing that.
It's actually a lot easier to do it.
It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, just because like we're both very busy.
What we decided to do is for our first video back, doing something from an artist, a band that we're familiar with. I thought that would be like a nice reintroduction for us to kind of get back into the swing of things.
Can we tell them about like the new format?
Is there a new format? I thought we were just doing a video.
I think eventually we're going to start making this into a podcast.
I mean, it's pretty much what it is right now. Just with the video.
Except Justin doesn't want it on Spotify. I mean, it's really easy to get it on there, and iTunes, and iHeartRadio, and a bunch of other places. But you know, we'll do that eventually. We could just do it right now.
Eventually, we'll see how it goes. Anyways, so we wanted to start off. Why are you shaking your head still?
Because I just, you know, I'm a big fan of just, you know, just get it done.
So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to have an album discussion of Hybrid Theory from Linkin Park. Of course, their debut album, their first album. And I think that Linkin Park is a band that you and I have a history with, something that we can talk about, something that we can relate with the music, and you know, kind of maybe, like I said, have a discussion, maybe have an album review, you know, something kind of in between, you know. It's not strictly an album review because we're not necessarily reviewing the album, but more of just a discussion of the album itself, how it plays into our lives personally, what we thought of it then, what we think of it now, and how it fits into their whole career, really.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do too is just talk about music. I mean, we've always reviewed it and been analytical about it. I don't know, for me, it just makes more sense to just talk about what we talk about anyway. So we're just recording it now. And I know the channel's gone through a couple iterations, but I mean, we're like, life, Justin, has always given us like projects together that never pan out. So like, we're determined to make this one pan out.
If anything, you have to admire the determination. You have to.
That's what I say.
I went like this and knocked over my water. Give me a second.
Should have had a jar. You would have been more careful. Can you hear me?
You know, sometimes these things happen.
Oh, he couldn't hear me, guys.
Sometimes these things happen. No, I could not hear you.
Yeah. Oh, do you have your Wi-Fi off on your phone? You should.
No, I don't.
You should. That way you get more Wi-Fi on your laptop.
That it doesn't affect my laptop.
Oh, it does. It does. I remember because I remember buying it with you. Anyway.
Okay, so Hybrid Theory. This album is their debut album, released in October 2000. Now, before we've been talking about it, I just want to say that.
Oh my gosh, that's 20 years ago.
Yes, I was so surprised that it came out in the year 2000. For the longest time, I mean, it's just my ignorance. It has to be. I thought it came out like in the mid 90s. Am I just dumb?
I would think late 90s, just off the top of my head. But yeah, 2000s.
Yeah, their debut album was in 2000. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How old were you? I was 11, I guess.
I was 8.
Man.
Yeah.
11-year-old. Anyway, so Hybrid Theory. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about
my first introduction to it.
Okay, so that was your first introduction to Linkin Park?
To rock music in general.
Oh, okay.
As close as you can get to that genre. I was sitting in my dad's car. We were in the parking lot of Walmart, and we were driving away in his Toyota Celica. and then he takes out this red disc.
Okay.
Right? I'm like, oh,
I
that looks
remember.
cool.
I remember.
Oh, what is that? So then he puts that inside the car, and I'm like, oh man, like, what is this? The first song that came on was Crawling.
Okay. He must have had some different mix.
I don't know. I think maybe he skipped to it or something, but I just remember like that being the first introduction of just hearing that way of singing that music, and it sounded really raw, really edgy, and it was just a really cool thing. I mean, and when you're 8, 9 years old, your first introduction to that is like, oh, whoa, man, should I be listening to this?
Right.
And this is sort of,
it's kind of heavy.
Like, it's kind of heavy.
It's kind of heavy.
What's my mom gonna say? But dad has it. Who cares? But yeah, that was my first introduction into that sort of music, and then it just became a love of analyzing those lyrics. And I remember, well, I mean, we'll talk about this when we talk about Meteora, but in another video. But I remember I used to sit in my room, not do my homework, and just I would write down their lyrics. I would listen to the music and just write down the lyrics because I wanted so badly to memorize it, because it was such a cool thing to know that many words when Mike Shinoda was rapping. And then I would just like sit there and look at the piece of paper that I drew and just like analyze the lyrics and just I watched every behind the scenes video of them. Anyway, I'm ranting.
No, that's what that's the whole point of this, is for ranting, is for discussion. Please, by all means, keep going. With myself, it's a little different. So Hybrid Theory wasn't my first Linkin Park album. For me, myself, Meteor was my first Linkin Park album. Hybrid Theory is where I went to afterwards. So for me, it was more interesting to hear like what I consider Meteor is like a more refined Hybrid Theory. Right. More polished, a little slightly better production, but still relatively the same. But then going back into Hybrid Theory, it's like almost a more raw sound. It's like a little more angry and passionate in what they're doing. And I feel that that's because it was their debut album, you know? So they're trying to
I have one question.
Yes.
I have one question. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Why am I small on the screen?
You're small on the screen? You're the same size as mine.
Yeah. Am I doubled?
No, you're the same size as mine.
I am?
Yeah.
Sorry. This is our first time, guys. I don't know.
No, on my screen we're both same.
I just look small here.
No, we're both the same.
Oh, okay. Well, toot my horn.
Okay. You have a little mini horn. All right. So what was I saying?
It was a more raw sound.
It was a more raw sound. And because of, I guess really what makes Linkin Park is all defined really within their first album, Hybrid Theory, right? Mixing together two sounds, the rap and the rock, especially taking influences really less from metal and more from like punk and like hardcore sound, more from like grunge of that era, kind of taking that wall of sound, distorted guitar, the powerful drums, putting all that together into their style, while at the same time mixing with hip hop and rap, you know?
Right.
Especially them having DJ Han, there, you know, the electronics, Shinoda keyboard when he uses that in the music, which they would do more so in the future. But Hybrid Theory is really just like that punchy wall of sound, a little bit of like electronic, but not so much just yet. It's more the hip hop influence at that point.
It was actually like I just feel like it was a really good album to the point where like everything else after that, I don't know. I think they did really good on a few of their albums as far as like they had a few good songs, but I don't know, Hybrid Theory and Meteora, I know we talk about Meteora a lot because I just lumped them both together. But it was just really good to listen all the way through. I don't know. I just feel like I can always listen to that album again and again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with like Hybrid Theory, I mean, their track list, which like I said, I think that Meteor is a more polished Hybrid Theory. But
it was almost like every song compared to the like everything from Meteora compared to Hybrid Theory. It was just like a more amped up version of the you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
And I thought they did that on purpose, but it was because they were just very similar sounding. Yeah.
And I think that I don't think there's really an argument to be made that Linkin Park, even from their very beginnings, were pop. I mean,
pop influence, yeah. They
no,
had to
it's
write
pop.
those.
It's pop.
Yeah, they had to write those hits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, if you look at their songs, from Hybrid Theory, there's nothing that goes past 3 minutes and 30 seconds really in here.
Right.
They could all easily be singles.
Song structure too.
It's very, very similar throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing really, unique in that part from what they're doing. Their uniqueness comes from their character, what made their sound,
Right. And also I don't want to say they were the first to do it, but I think they were one of the first to really get it out there and blend it. Because you had Beastie Boys, you had Limp Bizkit, you had all these other guys that were kind of doing it, but for some reason I think people latched onto Linkin Park because one, Chester Bennington's voice is very distinct.
Very.
I don't think he was the best singer in the world, because there's a lot of great singers, but he was definitely up there as far as like most distinct, well established, crazy range. I think
able to use the hard vocals with soft stuff. I think that's what
that
gave
was
him, his edge.
That was something interesting. So here's something that has always got me about Linkin Park. The one thing I've always appreciated, and I think this is why I'm still drawn to Hybrid Theory and Meteora, but we're talking about Hybrid. Man, not yet. This would be one long video if we were talking about Meteora. Hybrid Theory. Hybrid Theory was one of the first times I heard rock music, me, 8 years old, 9 years old, in a melodic fashion.
Okay.
And that's something I've always appreciated about Linkin Park. They didn't have crazy solos or anything like that.
Not at all.
It was all very melodic, very piano-based chords, chord progressions. Even Brad, the guitarist, he says, I don't write solos because I want to make it more melodic like a piano would.
Right.
And he got a lot of flack for that because he, people were just like, oh, he's not very talented guitarist or blah blah, but I mean, he wrote a lot of those melodies too.
Right.
So that's just one thing I can never like. I'll never not like Hybrid Theory, Meteora. Always listen to it. I remember almost every single word from Hybrid Theory, and it's just the melodies that they were able to string together. Pop or no pop sound, whatever, it did appeal to a lot of people, but it stands on its own. I mean, look at, like, if you listen to 101.1, our radio station here, they still play those songs.
Yes, because I mean, they're timeless in a sense. They're timeless for that kind of
they're
capacity.
Classics.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's our, like, this is a new era in music. Like, you and I are now the old guys of our era listening to 20-year-old music. Can you believe that?
Yeah. No, and like I said, I mean, think about it. This album came out when you were 8, I was 11, right? Now, I didn't listen to it when I was 11. I probably listened to this when I was in high school. I mean, probably 14, 15, when I, like, Linkin Park was my first band that I, like, followed and got into. And like you, my first rock band. Like, before this, honestly, like, thinking back, because I wasn't into music all my life, the first rock song, not band, but song that I was, like, really into was Creed, Higher. Okay, I love that song. Can you take me higher? That is a fantastic song, right?
Right.
But you see, that's what I latched onto, that kind of sound. Powerful chords.
Yep.
Strong
melodies.
Nice, strong melodic voice, and especially in the chorus. The build-up in the verses. So let's go there. Right? So already I'm getting the groundwork for what I liked growing up.
Right.
Linkin Park just, like, took that to a whole nother level with what they did.
Yeah.
With Hybrid Theory. So, me growing up around my brother listening to rap, my best friend at the time listening to, like, rock, those kind of things, like, kind of came together, And so, like, that's where I kind of rolled into Linkin Park. And I think the first Linkin Park song I ever heard was from Meteora, Faint. I think
we can't talk about Meteora.
I know I'm trying not to. It's just I have such a connection to it.
It's like they're like both one big album.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I might have heard In the End probably before I heard that, because I mean, how could you have not heard that song?
Right.
And even though I liked it, it never like touched me, you know?
Right.
I want to say it was Paper Cut, probably, that from Hybrid Theory was the song that like got my attention the
Yeah,
most.
great song.
That's a fantastic song.
I really loved how they it was just great. Like, I don't know, I just never heard anything like it. The beginning like breakbeat style drum pattern that they had in there that was electronic. I'm like, it was just weird. Like, isn't it weird to think about like they're one of the first to I mean, I could be wrong. Someone's probably going to tear me up in the comments, but they're one of the firsts to have integrated that.
Right.
But it's genius. Look how many people do it now. It's genius.
I wanted to talk about that because that's a great point. I think that they're one of the first to do it. But I think that the standout for them is that they're one of the first to do it so well.
Yeah. Who else could have done that before them? I'm sure there was some band that we don't even know about.
Like, I don't know if they preceded them or not, but like Limp Bizkit. I mean, they were kind of doing that kind of sound like it. They have the same general sound.
I never really listened to too much of them.
I never listened to them, but the few songs that I have heard from them, I'm like, oh, this is kind of like Linkin Park sound, but without maybe the electronic part.
See, but everyone gets compared to Linkin Park. Like, if Limp Bizkit came first, no one cares.
Right.
It's Linkin. Well, you think Linkin Park rap rock?
Right, and they came around at that time when this alternative metal, new rock or new metal was coming out. So you got bands like Papa Roach that are kind of doing this the same thing, right? Before that, Rage Against the Machine. Now they did the rap rock thing, and they did it fantastically well. Yeah, I would say one of the best rap rock groups of the time. You know,
but they were back in late 80s, early 90s?
They were 90s, early 90s.
Early 90s, yeah.
Yeah. They formed in 1991. So they preceded Linkin Park, you know, and their sound is kind of like
they're good in their own right, of course. I don't know. I think it's like it stinks because everything that came after Linkin Park, after Hybrid Theory,
and what I think
you're spoiled. You're spoiled.
Yeah,
you know.
And what I think was interesting is so we like touched briefly on maybe bands that maybe kind of influenced Linkin Park sound, like just the surface level. I'm sure there's plenty more. But think about all the music, the soundtracks, but the art that Linkin Park inspired for bands ahead of them. Not only rock though, rap, hip hop. Oh, they had a huge influence, absolutely, on like rap and hip hop artists after them. Not even necessarily copying like not Shinoda's flow necessarily, but the beats that were used, incorporating more rock sounds and alternative rock into the actual beat of the song. There were a lot of rappers doing that afterwards, you know?
Right.
So I think that's super interesting, just how much of an influence they had. Their big anime in Japan influences.
Here's one interesting thing I really loved about it.
Huge.
Here's one interesting I really loved. The fact, in addition to the anime thing and just that stylistic aesthetic that they had when it came to their albums and their artwork that was very obscure. In fact, that their artwork and their style of drawing, all that stuff, their entire aesthetic from Meteora and Hybrid Theory inspired me to start drawing. I just not thought of that. Of that. Yeah. That inspires like all the Umiflow merch that I have, like all of those.
That plug. Yeah. That was a sneaky plug.
Sorry, shameless plug, guys. You can find me on MannyPeralta.co, and you can see
that was a sneaky plug.
You know, I sell merch on there. It's my little side brand, shameless plug. Anyway.
That's hilarious. That's good.
You better put a link.
No, absolutely. It's all yours.
So what I was saying is it's so crazy that not only did they have an influence on artists and just the aesthetics and the behind the scenes stuff that they used to put out with their albums, right? Like Meteora had like the behind the scenes of like how they were making this wall for their Live in Texas concert.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the integration of everything.
It's crazy. And just think about this. Hybrid theory, Meteora, I'm sorry.
You said the M word again. You said the M word again.
But they're fused. They're literally one era of music, like 2000 to 2004, 5.
Close, 2003.
2003, my bad. Close. So the integration, right? These two albums were so universal that not only did it have an impact on artists and aesthetic of that, but even afterwards, those songs were so appealing and so moldable and empty enough that they could collab with Jay-Z.
Yep.
Busta Rhymes.
Yep.
They could make Reanimation, that album.
Yep. Oh, that's enough. We'll talk about that one another day.
That's a separate one.
That's a separate one.
That is insane.
Yes.
Think about what they did to lay the foundation for collaboration.
Yes.
And how that merged two different types of cultures of rap and hip hop to rock and alternative kind of new metal sort of thing.
Yeah.
You talk now, because that was good.
Excellent.
That was good. I hope we're recording.
You deserve a drink for that one.
I do.
And getting back to what you're saying, like about the art and their influence, like I'm thinking about like the art from like, all right, Hybrid Theory and Reanimation, right? You take those two things. It's very anime influenced. Obviously, Reanimation, definitely. Right. But in looking at Hybrid Theory's art, it's like graffiti art, right?
It's like graffiti art. It's like
it's like spray paint.
Sketched, rough draft sort of. It's conceptual art.
Yeah. And then think about the album cover.
Dude, that's my jam, bro. Like unclean, unfinished lines. Like that's my jam, dude. Like I have art that's more refined for, to sell, and it has to be a little bit more refined for a brand purpose. But my jam, dude, has always been to sketch and see the cross hatching and like, dude.
No idea what that means.
But yes.
But yes.
You know how you like shade in with like a pencil, but like you can still see the white underneath from the paper.
Okay. Yes.
That sort of thing. It's unfinished. Like there's a smudge here. Like.
Okay, I know what you mean, because I've seen your paintings. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It was just a really cool way to brand themselves. But then you think about it too. I'm sorry, I totally interrupted you.
Please go on.
It was just so cool because not only did that aesthetic in Hybrid Theory, like the conceptual sort of thing, like it just added to their music itself, because the lyrics, we'll talk about lyrics in a second.
Yeah.
The lyrics have always been pretty obscure.
Yes.
But think about the way that they write as well. They write, at least from Minutes to Midnight, right? They showed a little bit of the writing process, but I'm pretty sure they were singing no. That's how they used to write their stuff. They would just be like no, and see what stuck. And they would write lyrics, and they would just write it very
like off the top of their head. Yeah,
off the top of their head. And it's just like watching that, I'm like,
yeah.
You don't have to write down the first word that comes to your mind. You can write.
you can just like free flow it.
It's conceptual. It's free flowing. It's like waves in a sea.
They come and go.
Exactly.
They come and go.
Creativity is fleeting, and it comes to you, and it doesn't come to you, and it's not a linear sort of process writing music. And Linkin Park, dude, for as much garbage as I give them from I would say from Minutes to Midnight afterwards.
Right.
For as much garbage as I gave them, those two albums, dude, honestly sounds super cheesy, but those two albums kind of like made me the type of person that I am.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's true.
That's crazy.
That's why these albums are important to talk about.
I will always have that CD on me, that first Hybrid Theory CD. that CD has been lost many times as I grew up over 20
Right.
years.
Yeah.
Dude, over 20 years. It's been lost, whatever. I still have that CD. I still play in the car. It's the thing I still remember.
You can come back to it.
Yeah, always. I can
Something
always listen to it. Always.
So
I just don't feel that way about Pink Floyd.
So getting back to the artwork, because that's where I
Did
was
you catch that? Or you just
I'm ignoring it. So this is what I thought was interesting, okay, which I didn't know because I did a little bit of research before like recording and everything. Mm-hmm. And okay, so their first album, Hybrid Theory, it looks like graffiti art. Cool. Meteora, their second album, what's on the cover?
Spray paint.
Guy spray painting.
Yeah.
First of all, I never like connected that. I was like, oh, I really never connected that in the first place.
Right.
But did you know, and I'm reading this off of Wikipedia, which we know is always right. But
yeah, very accurate.
Yeah. Did you know that Mike Shinoda was a graphic designer before becoming a musician? And that's where like the illustrations and stuff came from. I didn't know that that's what he did like before. And that's kind of what like, worked himself into it.
Him and Han did a lot of the artwork. Mm-hmm. So
that's pretty cool.
I mean, and Mike Shinoda is half Japanese too.
Yes. Yeah. That was really cool because I didn't make the connection first of all between Hybrid Theory and Meteor, like just album cover wise. But I just thought that was like a cool little fact. I didn't really know that. I didn't really think about it, I guess,
So after Paper Cut, what was next?
So after Paper Cut, we got One Step Closer. Dun, dun, da, da, dun, da, 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 da. Is that how that one goes?
Yep. Da, 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 da. That's probably how it started, being written too.
Yeah. So see, like, here's the thing, like before revisiting this album today, because I want to listen to it again before, coming on, I probably have to listen to this album in at least like a few years, it's not one of the ones I usually come back to be honest. Right. But before we talk about how we feel about the songs now, let's talk about how each song connected to us as a youth, as someone younger. Okay.
You cut off a little bit. Wait, what was the question?
I want to know how these songs, if you have the track list up so you can take a look as well. If not, I'll pull it up for you.
No, I'll grab it.
But how each of these songs like connects to you. What's your favorite song on the album? What's your least favorite song on the album? What's the weak spot on here?
Got it. So let me see. Google.com.
Yeah, let's just talk general about the songs on the album and
Hybrid. Hang on. Theory.
Would this help a little bit? If I just do one of these?
Does it look good on the screen?
I mean, you see it. I can't see it.
No. People want to see our faces.
All right, let me go back.
That's a good quick reference. Okay, so let's. All right, Paper Cut. Can't go wrong. Paper Cut.
Right.
I get them all the time.
Paper Cut is that nice explosive opener. I mean,
yep.
It's like that's catchy chorus.
Dude, and then the harmonies. Mm-hmm. The sun.
Yep, that's a beautiful ending to the song. Yeah.
Then he ends like.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, I don't even know who you are. It's great.
Yeah, Paper Cut's just a good song all around,
Yeah. One Step Closer. I mean, the first two singles, right? Mm-hmm. With you.
I've always liked With You. Yep. I've always liked With You.
What? Let me see.
Points of Authority.
That one? No, wait. I'm forgetting right now. After that whole rant.
Yep. No, I know. That's why I have Spotify up so I can really quickly reference.
How does Points of Authority? Wait. I can figure out how.
You think you're never wrong.
You live what you learn.
You live what you learn. All
right, so you want to hear a funny story? One thing that kind of screws me up with all of these names is my first iPod Mini, which was stolen. So whoever's watching this, I hate you.
Bye.
I had the Linkin. I had Hybrid Theory on there. I don't know how I got it on there. I just know I got it on there through an old version of Apple Music or whatever. Like before iTunes was like a thing. And so it went on there, but what it would do is it wouldn't give me the actual titles of the songs.
Which is my
It
number.
would, like it wouldn't say paper cut. It would say, it's like I'm paranoid. Looking over my back. One Step Closer was One Step Closer. Points of Authority is like Crawling was, it wasn't called Crawling. It was called Crawling in my
Slithering.
skin.
It was called Slithering.
No, it was called Crawling in My Skin. And then Runaway, it wasn't called Runaway. It was like Never Say Goodbye. It was like a really long name. And so
That's funny, actually.
most of my life, I thought I didn't know the name. I just knew how the song sounded.
Yeah.
Points of Authority. How does that start again?
You like to think you'll never know.
But how does it start?
It starts with the
Yeah.
and then
Strong.
it goes
Yeah.
forfeit the game before somebody else takes you out of the frame.
Dude,
What's your name? Yeah, that one.
Comes in super heavy. It's, I mean, the first 4 tracks are great. Crawling, of course, you can't go wrong.
Crawling
First
is a
song I ever
classic.
heard.
Crawling's a classic. Yes. I like Crawling.
Let me
Runaway.
see.
I don't like Runaway. It's kind of boring.
Yeah, Runaway doesn't like hit me by myself. How does that go?
Guilty by association. I wanna run away. Never say goodbye.
Okay,
You know,
by myself. How does that go?
dun 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 da boom boom. Boom. By myself.
What do I do to ignore them behind me?
Let me tell you.
Follow my instincts blindly.
Let me tell you right now. By Myself is my favorite song on the album, and it
Favorite
is
song?
Yeah, and it's the one that I can always come back to. It is my favorite song. Period. No doubt. That's
I can't hold on. What I want, put up shut so thin.
Now I really
Thoughts of failure sinking.
Really?
What?
Just saying.
Are we gonna get copywritten for this?
Probably. We're so good.
YouTube has flagged your channel.
Yeah, exactly.
You should just delete this channel.
No.
No.
Now I do really prefer the reanimation version of By Myself. That's the one I always come back to, but I do like this one. And for the
Check it
album,
out. I've only listened to Reanimation probably this many times throughout those 20 years.
That's it.
That's an album I have to listen to again because I'm so gung-ho about the first 2.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. No, I know it's good. I don't remember everything about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, dude, Live in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I have the DVD and the album.
I know. You've shown me.
God,
I remember.
I can always watch that.
But we're not talking about that.
I know.
We're talking about hybrid theory.
I know. Okay, fine.
So we can't talk about that.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so in the end, general pop, it sounds great.
In the end is what it's that song that. Here's the thing, but here's once again what I feel makes hybrid theory special in one way. Not only bringing together 2 styles, like you said, but like you said, bringing together 2 different groups of people. Perhaps people that enjoyed the more poppy stuff would go for it in the end. People that wanted more heavy, aggressive stuff, okay, they like Paper Cut. They like with more, whatever the song is called. What did I say? It's called with
With
by
you?
By myself. Like Linkin Park has something for everybody.
Yeah.
In their repertoire.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. And if you haven't listened to this album, just do yourself a favor because I listened to Dark Side of the Moon. I gave that a chance. So you need to give Hybrid Theory a chance.
Why are we talking about Pink Floyd? This has nothing to do with Pink Floyd.
Because Pink Floyd is considered a classic band for an era of people that like they swear by it. So in a way, I understand how they feel so closely connected to probably pioneers of a genre and a way of writing music. Like Pink Floyd wrote music in a way that's so much different than, I mean, even now that kind of progressive style of writing is not it's definitely not as evident anymore.
Right.
But think about it. Pink Floyd is probably one of the first. Sorry, the first. I don't know.
Yeah.
Up there to be writing that kind of way. I mean, then you have Steely Dan and all these other guys too.
I was just listening to Steely Dan earlier today. Great.
Yeah, I'm not stupid. I know my music. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, I understand. So, like, for the older generation, if you haven't listened to this album, give it a shot, because even if you might not like Points of Authority or, you know, By Myself, you might like A Place for My Head, where it has that Spanish style.
That was interesting.
Guitar
that was
front,
interesting.
right?
That was interesting choice. Yeah.
Oh, dude, and then you got Cure for the Itch. I know we have Forgotten. How did Forgotten go? See, I don't know the names. I know how it sounds.
Isn't that the weirdest thing, though? Like, I have to pull up Spotify right now, press play, but as soon as it starts, at the top, okay. From the core, I've forgotten at the middle, whatever he says.
Taking far from my safety.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Cure for the Itch.
Yeah.
Well, Forgotten's okay. It's all right.
It's Forgotten.
All right. It's good. It's good, and I would listen to it. Place for My Head, of course. Love that.
Absolutely.
Cure for the Itch.
It's their electronic beat,
dude,
that they do.
Like, just out of left field.
It's cool. I feel like
I love it.
Here's the only thing, and I'm taking this as an album, because this Hybrid Theory is one of the albums, and this is with a lot of more modern music. And I'm not trying to sound snobbish. It's just what I'm noticing now that I'm like on my own exploring past stuff more. Like, more modern music is made like an album is like a collection of singles, basically. So
nowadays, yes.
Yeah. Which is fine. It's just a different way of making an album. But like, so as an album, now I'm going to start getting to like my critical stuff. As an album, I don't feel like it has a flow. I feel like it just moves from song to song, you know?
You think this one does?
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
You know?
I do agree that there's some abruptness in it, for sure.
I do think that later on, they start to manage that a little better and really create albums and like pieces of album work.
Here it just feels like a collection of songs.
Here and in Meteora, it's just a collection of songs.
Yeah.
Which is fine, you know, but it's a thing, you know.
I could agree with that. I think one thing that's interesting though is that if you were to take out a few of these songs, it would be a pretty solid EP, like a pretty solid, just like I think from Paper Cut to like, if you look at Paper Cut and Push Me Away, they're so contrasting. Right. That like, but it's still at the very end, like you're left with this sweeter taste in your mouth from them. You're like, you went through this entire album with them, listening to that whole thing, and now you're listening to like Pushing Me Away. Like, wow, this guy actually has a soft side, a melodic side, and it's not jarring. And there's melody and there's music behind all of this screaming and the rapping. Like, because people get turned off to that right away. Oh, he's rapping.
Right.
Oh my goodness. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just another style of delivering lyrics. It's not a big deal. You know? But yeah, I think Pushing Me Away is a nice ending. Especially because like the last chorus is like very powerful, the way they say like, you know, it's all ending basically. And then like comes in and raps.
I thought it was kind of cool. It was kind of like breaking the fourth wall, so to speak.
Yeah, we're all at a time, you know, this is how it ends or whatever. Like, I just think it's like a nice send-off to their debut album. And I think they did that really well.
I mean, how many awards did this album make?
It's too many.
I'm going to look up on Amazon right now for Hybrid Theory vinyl record.
What, to see how much it is?
Oh, it's not that much. Well, is it? Let me see. I see something for $212.
Must be like signed by Bennington.
Dude, the audio CD is $20.
Is that a lot?
Yeah, it's a lot for a CD. I mean, I can see like 12 like brand new first coming out, but like,
yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah. So we've talked about the album, how we felt about it growing up. We've talked a little bit about the songs, you know.
Dude, I'm like totally nostalgic right now.
But but I want to know how today, tonight, you feel about the album as a whole. How do you feel about this album? How do you feel about Linkin Park at this stage?
It feels comfortable. Whenever I'm in a lull of like listening to music, and I get in those pretty often, only because so much of my work involves either listening to other people's music or trying to find music that fits a particular scenario. So I don't necessarily get invested into it. What I do is I listen to it because I've listened to so much, because I've played music, and because I know these things about song structure and that sort of thing. I know how to put it well to a video, and that's what like clients pay me for.
Right.
Like I think if you edit video, you have to essentially be a musician as well in order to get the full rounded experience. Yeah. So when I'm in those lulls, and sometimes when I need some inspiration, I go back to this album because it's just a very comfortable listen, and it makes me think about just everything that was involved with getting to know this particular set of 12 songs for 20 years.
Right. Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah. So, like I said, I haven't listened to the album for a few years before coming back to it earlier today before recording, so I could listen to a little bit. Listen to the whole thing, through, revisit a few songs and that kind of thing. And this is the part where people are going to turn off. So if you can't handle criticism, if you're gonna, if you're gonna be that person, sorry. So I think, how do I say this? Let me not be too. I don't want to be too aggressive because I don't want to be that way.
Here we go.
It's one of those albums that at the time I can see how critical it is, as we just discussed for the past hour. Like
how pivotal it was.
Yeah.
And becoming what it is. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And there's no denying that. Like, I'd be stupid to deny that. I'd be stupid to say that this isn't an entertaining album full of nice songs. High energy. They were doing something new at the time. They sound great even today.
Right.
Not only from a musical standpoint, but production-wise. The production still kicks today, right?
For sure.
I was trying to find who it was before. I think it was, let me see. I had his name before. But the producer on this album also produced Meteora. And then he's even still producing albums today. He's working with Bullet for My Valentine. So that same sound you can hear in their music, right? Because it lasts. It works. So I think that this album is critically worthy, critically acclaimed. You know what I mean? Okay. Now that I got that out the way. I don't really like it.
It's just not going to hit you the same way.
No, because I think part of it is the music from a musical standpoint, especially nowadays, looking back at it, it's kind of bland to me.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Verse, chorus, bridge.
Yeah, and there's just nothing that comes out at me and says grabs me. There's no interesting song structure changes. Not that there needs to be changes, but there's not a lot that's done in it that after so many years of listening to that album and Linkin Park ahead of time, that's interesting. It's pretty bland, to me. It's meaty. It has a lot of protein. There's a little seasoning in there, but the seasoning's kind of old right now.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
So without going too much and talking about their future albums, it's almost like as you and I were teenagers, and probably thousands and millions of people around were teenagers listening to this, and that's when it bumped. So that's when it was hitting us, right? Not only because of the music, but because of the lyrics, which we talked about just briefly, but we'll talk about them again in a second. But as we grew up, so did Linkin Park. Now, some people wanted them to stay the same with that type of sound. Some people were very accepting and open for them changing their sound. I, honestly, at the time, was one of those who resisted their change. I hated them changing. I saw it as the worst thing ever.
I was too, yeah.
But now, looking forward at it again and looking at it from a new standpoint and a new perspective, I'm understanding it now, which is why I can see myself maturing with them. At the same time, which leads me to the conclusion of which I'm about to say is I think that this album is just as bad as One More Light.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, thank you for watching JPMP.
Because
See,
look,
I don't know if it's on that level. I would disagree with that. Like, I agree with the bland statement. Yeah, for sure.
Whereas One More Light is bland in a poppy way, this is bland to me in an alternative rock way.
Yeah, but also alternative rock was never your first style of music that you really loved either, right? Because
this was it.
I thought you were always into more jazz and
No.
R&B
This was the first. This was the first, like...
I'm going to pull up a video.
This is the first that I latched onto for myself. I grew up around jazz. I grew up around soul and stuff like that. But it didn't make like an effect on me. Like, so it was my music. It was my mom's music. It was my dad's music. It was, you know. But alternative metal, from Linkin Park, moving into Slipknot, moving into Mushroom Head, moving into all these other bands and stuff. That was my first, my music.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then, is it really as bad as One More Light? One More Light to me is one of the weakest. There's a couple, I mean, there's like one or two, whatever. But for me, it was, I think that's 20 years of like moving. I feel like it was really popped up. Like, does that make sense? Like, I feel like it was really controlled by music studios and that sort of thing, just to appeal to the masses and to have this guest rapper on there, like for like 4 lines. Like, it was just and like, and with Hybrid Theory, it's like the closest, rawest thing to what though it may be bland in some areas, yes. It's one of the closest things to like what Defiance was. You know what I mean? Like starting, like doing something different. And One More Light, I don't think was anything. It was different for them. I just don't think it was anything different in general.
It's not going to be historical because it's just another pop record.
Hybrid Theory is still historical. I mean, we're making a long video about it. You know what I mean? Like, we're not talking about One More Light, and I don't think anyone's going to be talking about One More Light. I mean, I love the band and Chester Bennington and all these writers, like, but One More Light's not going to stick.
Right.
Some songs probably for some generation, but again.
And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that another time. We'll get more in depth into it. Because honestly,
I have to listen to it.
We have to listen to it. I listened to it once. So honestly, I can't even say if that was necessarily a fair listen, because I like to listen to things at least twice. Especially a band like Linkin Park, I feel like I should listen to it at least twice. You know, I enjoy it.
Right.
But regardless, coming back to Hybrid Theory, I think one of the reasons I also personally don't connect to it, but I think that we did when we were younger, is because of the lyrics. Like, looking at it now, and like I said, I mean, I'm not trying to say that like I'm above listening to alternative metal or I'm above listening to stuff like this. I mean, that's not at all the case, you know.
It doesn't register in your mind the way it used to register, though.
Exactly. It just doesn't click the same way, or at least not everything that they've done that I used to clicks with now, you know. So I mean, let me just take like the lyrics of like One Step Closer, right?
One step closer to the edge, and I'm about to
so let's just take the first verses or whatever. I cannot take this anymore, saying everything I've said before. All these words, they make no sense. I find bliss in ignorance. Less I hear, the less you'll say. You'll find that out anyway. Okay, there's a lot of lyrics like that where, like you said, they have a vague kind of style in which they could be attached to so many different types of emotions, so many different types of environments.
You're right.
So in a sense, these lyrics are perfect for who? The masses. They're perfect for everyone. The definition of pop for everyone. That's not bad. I like pop. Pop is good. But I think that because the lyrics are so vaguely written and they're not necessarily very direct, they're not necessarily written so personal that I feel like I'm hearing Chester talking about his soul I feel like I'm just hearing kind of teen angst.
Okay,
You know?
and then in that sort of sense, dude. Okay, no, I agree with that. Think, man, and then you have Minutes to Midnight where they started to talk a little bit deeper on things.
Right. It's more personal because, like, let's be
And then you
honest.
have One More Light. Then you have One More Light too.
Right.
That song in general, and then Heavy, and
Right. See,
that's an interest. Ooh,
because there's a difference between I can tell you I'm sad, right? That's a very vague statement. That tells you
why are you
nothing,
sad? What's
right?
wrong then?
But that's it.
Tell me
Exactly.
what's wrong.
All those questions you're asking is
Right,
because you don't know why. There's no connection. You just say, okay, like what?
right.
So what? But if I tell you, my dog, I got this note from the vets, and we're gonna have to put him down in a week, and it's just kind of messing with me inside, and we had a good time, blah blah blah. Like now there's connection. Now there's like a reason,
Right, and I can
right?
see how the other albums do have that.
Exactly, and maybe not the music so much,
Right,
but the lyrics and the depth that their songwriting took, it matured.
right. Well, definitely in Minutes to Minute, I can see that. I can see it in One More Light. I don't really see it in Thousand Suns, and I don't see it in Living Things. Maybe The Hunting Party.
Mm-hmm. And I'll have to take a look back at them because honestly, I'm not as familiar with those albums as I am with like the ones we're going to be looking at today and onward.
Right.
So I'll have to take a more in-depth look at them. But
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I feel like with this, like because especially a lot of us were teenagers at the time listening to this. This could be so easily applied to everything from our teenage first loves to heartbreak to just teenage angst and just I just want to be away from my parents and drive my car or whatever we're trying to do. Like, like
your Nissan Altima,
right. But like
beige.
let's take this. If I can just make a comparison, let's take the lyrics that Linkin Park were writing at this time
Mm-hmm.
and take that and compare it to, just for example, Rage Against the Machine. Okay. They were just as young, doing the same, similar type of music. Now, obviously, their music was more politically charged. Linkin Park is much more emotional, kind of depth or whatever. But listen to the songwriting from Rage Against the Machine and compare it. It is so much more mature and so hard hitting, right? And I think I'm not sure. Yeah, it's not as vague because I think in vagueness, you get lost. Your message gets lost.
You get lost, and then like some people would argue against that and say like, oh well, it can apply to a lot of people, so they're writing for everybody. No, but I understand that whole side of it too.
Yeah, so that's
for
kind of like why I lose connection to Linkin Park, because I don't relate to Linkin Park at this time. There's nothing for me to like relate to. It doesn't connect with me on that level.
Between the two, Hybrid Theory and Meteora, which one would be your favorite, just overall album?
Meteora. That's easy.
Meteora for sure.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about that later. Like in Meteora, I'll tell you why. But like for example, like Linkin Park, and like I said, I'm just using comparison.
I just can't figure out which vinyl to buy.
Linkin Park and I'm just looking at One Step Closer, but this applies really to all their songs on Hybrid Theory, most of them rather. They write a lot of lyrics. There's a lot in here. There's not a lot of repetition besides the choruses. It's pretty varied.
It like almost doesn't make sense though, some of it.
Right, because it's vague. You're getting lost in the fog of war. But if I'm coming back to Rage Against the Machine with Killing in the Name of, 2 lines are repeated pretty much throughout the whole song. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses, right? That's repeated, right? Over and over.
Yes.
Then the next one. It keeps going over and over. But how do those 2 lines have so much more power than all the lines that Linkin Park wrote up in Hybrid Theory? How?
It's just what that band was writing and maybe what they were going through, and it's just a way they expressed it a little bit more elegantly. It's kind of like they taught with simplicity.
Yeah, you don't have to be wordy. You don't have to be wordy to get your point across.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I think going into Linkin Park's future albums, their lyrics got better.
They did that, yeah. They did get a little less vague and a little bit more like they started writing things out a little bit more. Yeah.
And like I said, it's just different because I can't connect to it on that level. So lyrically, like, I think everyone has their moments, but I'm not necessarily the angsty, depressed teenager that I was, right? I'm just not. So I don't connect on that level. I think the music sounds cool still, but now in 2020, I'm hearing better. Or I'm hearing more things that appeal to me. Even in the same genre. I'd rather listen to like, I don't know, what's another band that's doing this?
Someone else is doing like a rap rock sort of thing?
Or some similar sound, like the new metal thing, like Islander. Okay, they're doing new metal right now. I'd much rather listen to them. Deftones, they've evolved.
I have to listen to
I'd rather listen to
make
Deftones.
A list. I need to make a little list.
So
I just haven't had a chance to like sit and I need to start doing that.
Just every once in a while.
It's one thing I miss about this show is like I work a lot, so like I need to just.
That's why one album just to concentrate on. It's a nice format just to sit down and just relax.
Yeah, just relax, or like, I don't know, wash my dishes and still listen to it and give it a chance. Yeah. It's like, I'm buying Hybrid Theory, by the way.
Go for it. and what
it's free shipping on Walmart. There's only 3 left, so it's like I have to do it now.
You have to do it. You have to.
Because they're saying there's only 3 left.
Yeah, and what I wanted to say is what Bennington had said. The same thing I'm reading off of Wikipedia really quick. But
I'm listening to you, by the way.
Yeah. And this is their words, okay? He says, Shinoda characterized the lyrics as interpretations of universal feelings, emotions, and experiences. And
there you go.
And as everyday emotions you talk about and think about.
So he was just writing in that sort of way. Yeah.
And like I said, these lyrics could be applied to so many things, to everything in your life, which I think is good because you can take that as personal interpretation as you see it and really like, it'll hit you in a different way than it'll hit me.
Agreed.
But because it's so vague and because it's so universal, I feel that it's not specific enough to be talking to me,
But does the vagueness make it worse?
I think it depends on how you apply it.
Because I think that the vagueness itself is not necessarily. I think that the vagueness. It's just.
I don't think that's what's bad. It's what's bad for me. I think on a general level, it works for what they're doing. They don't need to have deep lyrics for their type of music that they're doing at this time.
Right. So I have kind of like a comparison. I think what Hybrid Theory was, and dude, like, don't get me wrong, I love Hybrid Theory. I mean, I'm literally buying it right now. Wait,
that's what happens.
I almost said my entire card number right here.
Don't do that. What are you doing?
Wait.
Hurry up.
Okay. So there, it's done. Place order. So how I could compare Hybrid Theory, and you'll agree, I think, is it was always steak. It was always a cow. It was always that. But it's just the way you were served it. Like the cow and the steak and just the general fact that it was meat, for example.
Yep.
That's like the vagueness. But I think it was just the way that it was kind of presented. It was presented by these 5 guys. There was a DJ. Ooh, wait, what? A DJ with a guitarist and a bassist and a drummer and a singer and a rapper. It was just was presented to you differently. It was served to you with butter and a side of mashed potatoes. And so you forgot the fact that it was just meat.
Right.
It was just, and it was probably still cooked the same. It was just served differently. So it looked better and maybe even tasted a little bit better with the other pairings of things. So I think I do agree it is vague, and that can make it not so cool, not so great. But I do think that they just did a really good job of presenting everything.
Yeah.
And at the time, no one else was serving it like that.
Right. I'll agree with you. On that point.
That's like no one else was serving it in that way. Like no one came out with like the fancy shirt and the platter, the shiny platter. Everyone else was just, it might have been a different cut of steak, and it did taste better in a lot of ways, but this had the frill. And look at them. They became this multi-billion-dollar band.
Yeah, they really did.
Like think about it. Like, you don't, I mean, I'm sure Rage Against the Machine is around and making music and doing things like that, but like
they're not.
they weren't, no one was Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Think about how big they got. Like, they were just us. They did enough things right that it still got out there more than a lot of other bands and artists. Like, look how long they were around.
Yeah.
And like, the only reason they're not around is because the lead singer is no longer around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was like the most pivotal thing that like stopped.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, and I don't even think stopped them, but
these guys are cool. These guys are cool.
Oh, they like to send you notifications. I can't believe I just bought this.
Look at this. This is Linkin Park.
It's different. It was edgy. It was like,
it was accessible edgy.
Yeah, well, think about it. Like, Slipknot wore the same sort of thing except in red when they first started doing their Iowa album.
Orange, but I'll let it go.
Okay, orange. Sorry. But you know what I mean? Like, it was this, it was almost like a how do you call it? It was an acceptable realm of edgy.
Right.
And it's like, you felt cool listening to Linkin Park because it was all these edgy genres back in the day, right? That had all these sorts of stigmas. Give it to me. Give it to me.
And going exactly with that point that you said, okay, because Hybrid Theory, edgy, right? But it's not that edgy, because think about the other artists and bands at around the same time that were doing the same thing, right? Korn, much more edgier. Marilyn Manson, if you want to go that direction, much more edgier. Like, there were bands that were doing the same sound.
But
Linkin Park was the one everyone could come to. They didn't curse. They didn't have any like weird things about them going on. It was just them.
Can we talk about that too? They didn't curse in their first two albums.
So they were easily radio friendly.
Unheard of. But it was still appealing that you thought they were cursing still.
Because it still felt bad. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, because it was still in your face, one step closer to the edge. I'm about to break. Like, like faint and like just all these different types of, like, it was the way it was presented. They served it to you differently. And Korn did it, but you could still relate Korn to a lot of older school style of rock and all that stuff.
Yeah, you go
so
Faith
like,
No More and go back a little more and stuff.
Of course, like it was just the way they served it, and they served it so well, dude. Not only in the music, but they served it in their aesthetic, their art style, their behind the scenes, them showing their process. That was something new too that they did. Right? Showing their process. It's like they did all of these things. They probably didn't even know that they were doing it, or maybe, the monster in the music industry was like, yeah, I'm going to make these guys multi-million-dollar people.
I've heard rumors of that. Yeah.
That happens all the time. I mean,
absolutely.
The world's twisted, and you have to know that there are some crazy higher up people. Who knows why Linkin Park got that big? Who knows? They're immensely talented.
That was a leap.
It was a little bit of a leap.
It was a leap.
But I don't put it past it to, like, they did all those things right. Whoever coaxed them to do all those things right, I don't know. But they did it right. They served it. And that's why they leaped above Korn. And, well, I'm going to get hate for some of those things.
They're more commercially viable.
But that's the thing that sells in this world. Unfortunately, that's just how it is, right? You have to, like, for example,
you got to fit the mold.
Exactly. For example, like this design right? Another shameless plug. This design is not typically my style, but is it marketable? Yes. Is it printable? Yes. Is it
Mm-hmm.
is it easy to be embroidered? Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
in that way, I have also fit the mold. Another example, I like to film documentaries, but do those always make money? No. You know what makes money? Weddings, video
Mm-hmm.
production, commercial stuff. Like those are the molds. So Linkin Park may have not even known they were doing it, but they were
Mm-hmm.
fitting a mold, which is why their first two albums launched them.
Right.
Launched this era. Like launched the
Mm-hmm.
fact that even 20 years later, there's two like basically 30-year-old dudes talking about
Right.
how they first listened to it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and
How
it's
long is this
interesting.
video?
Too long, and we're gonna
It's
kind of
great.
turn it up a little bit.
All right.
But like I think it's interesting, like reading off of this, how much they like had to alter the original music that they wrote, like for their demos and their music.
Yeah,
How
because it
much it
was
was
just too
altered.
out there.
Yeah, how much it was altered from the original into what came apart on the album. And they talk about like the lyrics changing and the rapping sections being shifted. So there
Yep.
was definitely some studio mingling going on, for lack of a better word.
And it
But
stinks because that just happens, you
right,
know?
but I think I think a lot of artists would agree that sometimes, especially in the beginning, to launch your career, you have to do that. Sometimes you have to fit the mold, and
It's
then
okay. It's okay to make some take
yeah,
some suggestions.
you're not selling out. You're just sometimes you got to fit a certain mold. Absolutely. And then
Yeah,
sometimes it pays off for you. And then when you get to the point that you can do things on your own, then you can like really do what you want to
experiment.
do. Mm-hmm.
Like Thousand Suns. That was not a marketable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they tried to be. They had like a
Right.
couple songs, but think about it. Like every album after Minutes to Midnight just didn't stick.
Right.
I, I don't know. Maybe they did stick. I
But
mean, they had music videos.
maybe it's because of us and our age, and maybe we changed. I know my taste changed. I wasn't listening to Linkin Park the same way I was, in high school, walking around with my headphones and my giant CD player in my pocket, thinking I
Yeah,
was tough, like walking around listening to Faint or whatever.
yeah,
I'm far removed from that person, so
yeah.
their music isn't going to emotionally hit me that way.
Right. I'm still, for whatever reason, I don't think my tastes have changed too much. If anything,
Mm-hmm.
they've changed so drastically. Like I've been listening to like French cafe, like bossa nova stuff lately
Mm-hmm.
because I'm, with my kid. And
Mm-hmm.
but I just enjoy listening to something easy,
Right.
easy listening in different languages, in French or whatever it
Right.
is. Like, like I said, the bossa nova sort of.
Yeah.
I've been listening to that, a lot of the standards lately. I've been listening to a lot of, um, let's see, I've been listening to a lot of Disney.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, say what you want about that, but like the epic musical style of music I've been
Mm-hmm.
listening to. So, but at the very core of me, I always go back to new metal,
Mm-hmm.
Dance Gavin Dance.
That's not new metal.
It's not new metal, but like I'm talking. It's not new metal, but it's like I'm talking like guitar,
You go post-hardcore.
bass,
Yeah. Yeah.
guitar, bass, drums, and I know Linkin Park's not post-hardcore, and I enjoy post-hardcore very, very much. But like guitar, bass, real instruments is something I
Right.
always I just turn it on all the time. I sleep to it.
Mm-hmm.
I used to fall asleep to this album, bro.
Yeah.
I used to fall, and I still do. I still turn it on once in a while, throw
Mm-hmm.
on my AirPods, and I go to bed because
Yeah.
it's so assuring that the fact that like that music was made and that was my era.
Right. Right. See, like, I don't have that I don't have nostalgic. My taste overrides my nostalgia every time.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It always has though.
always
Ever
will.
since I've known you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, for example, Hybrid Theory is not an album I would come back to in the end. Okay. In the end, as we're starting to conclude everything, yes, exactly.
That was good.
It's not an album I would come back to. Honestly,
Right.
I could be okay never listening to it again. But the other day, because I was feeling nostalgic, I said, you know what? Let me go back and listen to Volume 3 by Slipknot and just kind of see if anything sticks. And you know what? It still kicks. That's still a great album.
Oh, dude, that's a great album.
It still hits me. I can still go through that album and enjoy every single second of it. But you know why?
Oh my gosh.
Because musically,
I gotta save it.
Because musically, it still hits me. You know?
Dude, do you know how emotional that album is?
Exactly. So like, it's not so much the nostalgia.
People think it's like, oh, it's Slipknot. It's like they're talking about that. They're not. Oh my gosh.
I used to think that because look, little high school me would see all these like kids with like long hair and stuff like that, like wearing Slipknot shirts, and I'm like, oh, what's that band? You know? And then I heard before I forget. Yeah, but then I heard Before I Forget on the radio. I didn't know who it was from. I just heard it and I was like, ooh, that's a banger. And then
Vermilion Part 2.
Yeah, I heard it was Slipknot, and I was like, wait, that crazy band did that song? You know, I was like, that wasn't that heavy.
Oh man, dude, that album, man, I want to talk about that album right now, but
not now. Maybe another day after we get through Linkin Park stuff.
Oh, dude, but that's a great, just like.
Yeah, but the same thing. So my taste will always override my nostalgia.
Like Circle from Slipknot.
Right. Circle's a perfect song. Circle's great,
dude. It's just like it.
Circle's great.
It throws you left field because it's not. I'm gonna make a comparison to Linkin Park.
Sure, please bring it back.
You get this stigma from the artist or the initial, like the blister exists after Prelude 3.0, right?
Yep.
You get the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. You get the generic
heavy.
Whatever, right? Same thing with Linkin Park, right? But what I'm saying is, like, the music that was written can come off jarring at first, but if you just listen, and this is why it's so important to just listen to albums sometimes.
Yes.
I haven't done it enough lately, just because that's just not how people listen to music. You go on Spotify, you hit a playlist of your most played music, right?
Yeah.
So listen to albums, buy vinyls, buy CDs, stick them in your car, because when you listen to the whole thing, like when you get to Pushing Me Away, when you get to Cure for the Itch, you're just like, oh, this is just a different side of what they were actually saying the whole time.
Exactly.
Like when you're listening to Slipknot and you listen to Circle and you listen to Vermilion Part 2 and you listen to these songs, you're just like, oh, well, these guys are actual artists and actual musicians.
Yeah.
It's just a way that they've crafted it.
Right.
We got to talk about Volume 3 because
that's another day.
Another day for sure. It's a good album. And
let's wrap this up with Hybrid Theory. Let's exhale. Okay.
I hope everyone's doing it with us. Ready? Everybody that's watching, ready? 1, 2, and
okay.
Pink Floyd.
Okay. All right. Hybrid Theory. So for myself, in the end, wrapping this all up into one sweet little statement, it's a historical album, not only for the world of modern music, but from me and my personal life.
Yeah.
While I can, if I so choose, go back and enjoy it, it's not something that hits me the same way as it used to. I can still recognize that it's great, but for myself, I'm completely fine never listening to it again.
Yeah, for me, it was a very pivotal part of my taste in music and how it kind of shaped my aesthetic or like my love for art and other types of music related to it. The lyrics were something I did resonate with to a certain extent. And it really showed this album really showed me what a band is capable of, as far as like, you can have this stigma of rap or rock or whatever it is, but when you really listen and read these lyrics, they were just presented in a way where it's like you could really just understand a different side of it broke barriers in music.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It broke barriers in music. It broke cultural barriers. I think it broke a lot of people's perceptions on what rock was, what rap was,
Right.
and that rap isn't bad, rock isn't bad. It, like, what are they talking about? That's the core of it all.
Yeah.
What is it portraying? And this album has a very special place in my heart.
Well, that was a nice little wrap up. What do you guys think about the album? Have you heard Hybrid Theory? Did you watch this whole thing? If you watched this whole thing,
send me your PayPal. I'll send you money.
Thank you so much if you did watch all of it. I hope that you enjoyed it as well.
Also, guys, comment below. Would you guys be interested in a podcast? You guys have watched all of our videos. You guys have waited for us. I saw a lot of the comments. I was very surprised at the amount of likes on that last, kind of teaser video.
I didn't look at it.
I mean, everything that's here can be converted into an audio format. I mean, I would listen to it. I mean, at the core of it, it's two guys very passionate about music, and this, I like talking about this kind of stuff, especially because we have a little bit of homework ahead of time. We have to kind of listen and brush up on these things before we can come and talk about it.
It's fun.
And it is fun, and it's something that doesn't take too much time. It's a lot easier now that we're kind of Zooming and FaceTiming and doing these sort of things. And maybe one day it'll just be a straight audio format. Who knows?
Never know what the future might hold.
But yes, comment below if you'd like to hear a JPMP podcast, because we could make that happen for sure.
And then just let us know if you enjoyed everything in the first place. What did you enjoy about the discussion? What you didn't enjoy about the discussion? To be honest, it doesn't matter that much. We're just going to talk the same way we talk anyway.
It doesn't matter anyway.
But we'll definitely be looking, at least at this moment, looking at albums that we're familiar with and just honestly talking about it just because we're friends and that's what we're going to do. So yes, we're going to be looking at
Can you upload
Linkin
this
Park
tonight?
No. So we're going to be talking about Linkin Park. Dude, I usually go to bed by now, okay? We went way over time. Dude. We went way over time.
What was it, like 2 hours?
It's almost 2 hours, yeah.
Oh, dude, sick. Good watch time,
This is going to take a long time to do its thing. Anyways,
fine.
But for the future, yes, we're definitely going to continue through Linkin Park's albums. As you heard us just briefly mention, we're definitely going to also look at other albums. And
we're just going to have different topics.
Other discussions. We'll bring in random topics and stuff.
Yeah.
It won't
we're
always
just gonna
be
talk
discussions.
Yeah, we're just going to talk in depth about music. We're just going to talk about we talk about this stuff all the time. So, I mean, it makes, I think after maybe 3 iterations of JPMP, thankfully it hasn't been 3 different channels, but just 3 different times of finding our groove.
Yeah.
This works a lot easier because I don't have to rate anything and I don't have to it's just easier.
It's just nice. It's a nice, fun, relaxing getaway the same way we always wanted it to be, right? I mean, it's a nice just chill.
And I don't have to set up a room every time.
Yeah. And my room's already set up.
We gotta get a camera situation fixed.
We'll see.
This is unacceptable. The audio sounds great.
Yeah, I'm cool. I'm easy like Sunday morning.
I'm gonna buy you a cam link.
Commodores. All right. Well, do you have anything else to say?
Nothing. Thank you guys for being patient with us, and
people thought we hated each other or something.
Really?
Yeah. The internet, the rumor machine. It just goes. We just don't talk all the time, but when we
don't talk much anyway.
Yeah. Even before doing JPMP, we're that type of friends. We don't need to talk to each other every single week or whatever.
No, it's just it's whatever.
We talk what? We talked once a month, but then we'll talk. We'll catch up, do our thing, and then we whatever.
It literally is whatever. Oh, guys, be on the lookout for JPMP merch.
Do I get something?
It's gonna happen.
Do I get something?
You mean like a cut?
No, like a shirt.
I'll buy you a shirt.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Of course,
dude. One quote's gonna be 2.5.
I know. We've said that. We've said that for so long.
It's gonna happen. I'm gonna.
Oh well, before we leave, just to keep in this spirit of JPMP, and yes, what would you rate Hybrid Theory?
It's not a perfect album. Let me. I'm not.
Take your nostalgia out as today.
I'm taking that out. It is a solid and strong. It's a solid 8 out of 10 for me because 8 out of 10 because oh wait, what's the rating system? Was that 5?
We do 5.
It's a 4.
So it's a 4.
It's like a 3.8. Can we change the rating system?
Cheese?
No, change.
To what? Remember like in the beginning of this channel, you just did whatever rating system you wanted to do. Remember that?
No, can we do the 10 because there's it's
literally the same thing. It's just times.
It is
2.
definitely not because you have it's broken up differently.
Okay, so what was your rating?
1 to 10. It's an 8 because
so it's a 4 out of 5.
It's definitely not
because that would be. Thing?
It's not because 1 out of 10 would be not like because that would be 9 out of 10.
No,
so 4
the same that doesn't.
It's not. It'd be close to like a 3.8, and I don't want to say that all the time.
Can we just 4 out of 5 is an 8 out of 10. It's mathematically the exact same thing.
Justin, it's definitely not 8, 9, 10. There's 2 more. There's 2 more to 10, and then 4, 5. There's 1 more to 10. That doesn't make any sense. If we do 1 to 10, it covers a broad range.
I'm gonna teach you about exponentials and percentages one day, but
listen,
I'll let you have it.
I didn't finish high school.
I'll let you have it.
I don't care. We're changing the rating scale from 1 to 10.
Okay, what's your rating?
It's an 8 out of 10 for all those. I mean, just rewind. Look at all the reasons.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm gonna sit here and explain myself again.
I would give the album a
2.5.
That's funny. I'll give it a 4 out of 10.
Dang, that's low.
And I'm talking about today.
I think that's a little too low. I could definitely see like a 6 for sure.
I'll bump it to a 5. Well, I'll meet you halfway and I'll bump it to a 5.
Oh, now we're at halfway.
I'll do a 5. Yeah, thinking about like my taste now and like other albums that I'll rate lower.
Well, yeah, your tastes have changed, but think about how. Just think about like the impactfulness of who Linkin Park. Like take that into context.
Well, why should that matter to my score? Just the same way that Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, one of the most influential albums of the world.
For sure.
But that doesn't impact your score because it shouldn't. That should just be personal opinion. So I'm going back down to a 4 in Hybrid Theory.
I need to go to bed, dude.
That's what I'm doing. All right. But yeah, it's a 4 for me. 8 for you. That's kind of it.
Yeah, that's it. Do the outro. Yeah, just do the outro.
Oh man, guys, if you've watched all of this, thank you so much. I got to look at the camera when I say this.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too.
Seriously, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your patience and for continuing to support us even in our interim. So,
and also thank you for all the donations to JPMP.
Thank you.
Even in the hiatus, it wasn't really hiatus. We just didn't record anything.
That's all it is.
It was awesome. I'm like, gas money. This is great.
So thank you guys so much for all your continued support and everything like that. It really does mean a lot to us. We love reading your comments. So please, if anything, comment down below because we do enjoy reading those. And I guess next time we'll be looking at Meteora. So if you haven't heard that before, listen to it so that way when we do our video, you can come back and kind of relate and see where you agree, where you disagree, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
And I guess that's kind of it. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Anything else you got to say, Manny?
No. When you end this, I'm leaving. Like we're not gonna talk.
Oh yeah, no, we're done. No, we're done.
Yeah.
No, I'll see you in a month.
No, I'll see you next week.
All right.
All right, man.
All right. See you guys and see you
later, dude.
Bye. How do you end this thing?
I don't know.
Oh, I found it.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't work. I got it. Bye.
Good.
Yep.